Platforms that I use the most right now, I have three. I have like top three. I have like Twitter is my fave, and then Instagram and Snapchat.
Snapchat and Twitter.
Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Snapchat, and then from there, Instagram and Twitter, and then Facebook's kind of last.
Instagram's like my favorite.
I use Snapchat a lot.
One that I actually really like using, which is relatively new, is Visco.
I use Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Twitter and Instagram.
Definitely Twitter, and then probably Instagram, and then Facebook.
Have I ever had a negative social media experience? I think more in high school, everybody just does like immature things and you can't really detect sarcasm. So sometimes that causes you to have a bad experience, but in college, generally, no.
In high school, there was actually a conversation between myself and another student in which it was borderline bullying and people were hashtagging Team Kyle or hashtag Team so-and-so, and it was a school-wide event and we actually all got in trouble for it.
What do I think about people's social media behaviors? I think people use it as a place to vent, which you need to do sometimes, but is not always the appropriate place to do it. There are a lot of different kinds of people in the world, and that's not always respected through social media, and it's not always the place to put your opinion in everyone else's face. You have the right to that opinion, but you have to think about who else you're going to be offending, and it's just a very insensitive sometimes. So it's a good place to learn about other people's views, but again, not in an aggressive way, and that's an issue, I think.
I think people definitely speak their mind on social media. They'll talk about more serious issues on Twitter than they will face-to-face with people, I think. They'll tweet about like serious things sometimes, and sometimes they'll tweet, just silly things. But I think people tend to voice their opinion a lot on social media, and yeah, they do that a lot. I know I do that. Like if something happens, the first thing I do, I'm like, oh, I gotta tweet about this. Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people can put a little bit too much out on the internet. Like, there's like some things that like I want people who like I don't know who follow me on like Instagram or something to know about me. So like I see a lot of people like posting like a little bit like too much stuff on there.
In a college setting, I would say social media affects students positively and negatively. Negatively because it's very distracting. I know like when I was in college, it would be something that would distract me a lot from doing homework. It's very easy to grab your phone when you see someone Snapchat you or see something on Instagram or Twitter. But I also think it can be very beneficial, especially in the classes that I was taking, using it to do projects or different things like that. So I think you can look at it both ways.
I think social media affects students in a college setting. I don't know, I feel like we're more connected because I know a lot of times if you have like your school in your bio, you get like more followers or more friends that way, so you'll be able to say like, oh, I follow her on Instagram, and then you kind of have like, I think that's like an entrance to like a friendship sort of. You kind of get that vibe like, oh, I follow her, so I'm gonna say hi. So I don't know, I feel like it's very connecting in college.
So originally I deleted my social media just because there was a lot of drama, not so much with myself, but there was just drama involving things that I would be seeing. I didn't like not really being able to control what other people would be posting, and even if I would still unfollow them, I would still see stuff, and it would just be frustrating and upsetting. So I did get rid of social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat completely, and it was like that for probably about 6-7 months. But then once I came back to school, I felt like I wanted to be connected again, so I brought back my social media presence, but it's definitely not as big of a part of my life anymore.
Younger generation versus ours, it probably causes them to grow up a little more quickly.
So when I thought I got social media young, they are getting social media young. Like, it is crazy. I'm in elementary school right now, and there are like fifth graders whipping out iPhones on Snapchat and things, and that's like an actual concern that teachers need to be aware of. Are you being recorded in your classroom? What are your students gonna post from your room? And they don't really know what they're doing, so why are they using it? I think that's definitely an issue today, and yeah, just they're not getting anything out of it, so.
It's very easy to avoid situations when the situation is going to happen or something. So like, it's like if you look at a fire in a building, if you see a fire, of course you're not going to go to the fire. You're not going to go to the building that's burning up. You're going to look at it from afar and you're going to avoid it. But what happens when you're already in the fire and you're already in the building? That's very hard to avoid. So, like, that ties in with kids. Kids don't see those fires. They don't see the red flags. They just see a friendly face and all that. Us, we grew up with the experiences, the bad experiences, weirdos and stuff, and the, like, not really understanding everything, but our parents monitored it like crazy because they didn't really know much about it. But now they kind of know about it. So it kind of, I think that letting the kids just not really monitoring what they do. Like, my brothers monitor, but the kids in the neighborhood aren't. Like, their parents don't really care they don't know much about it. And that's dangerous. Us, we, like, bump their heads and stuff, so we kind of learn what you can do, what you can't. And them, they don't really know. So I think you have to, it's our obligation as our generation to teach the kids, I guess, how to use it properly.
If I could go back to speaking to young Kyle, I would tell him to just put very non-controversial things onto social media that could not define very personal, intimate details of myself.
7th grade Katie. Well, my username was tgray448 because I love tigers, so I would tell myself, don't do that. But I would say maybe put less on social media, because I'm kind of an open book on social media. I tweet about really anything I want, and, like, at this point in my life, it's fine. But, you know, a 7th grader should not have been on social media as much as I was. And so I think I would have told myself to, like, take a step back from it and, you know, don't be so absorbed into, because I would spend so much time on social media when I was younger, and I would have, like, friends on social media. I'm like, that wasn't the safest thing I've ever done, and, you know, and so I would say, yeah, step away a little bit.
The advice I probably would give to myself would probably be, like, not to try so hard, because at first, you know, you want, like, all the followers and you want a bunch of friends and a bunch of likes. And I look back and I'm like, why can't I like, especially Instagram, like, I would rather just have it as a photo album of myself, just to see, like, oh, why did I ever take that selfie, or, like, see how I've grown. I don't think it's always about, like, who follows who, or, like, you know, followers versus, like, who you follow. Because, you know, there's always that gap of, like, oh, I definitely want more people following me than I follow. So I definitely tell myself to relax a little bit. Like, it's not that serious.
Best thing I see social media being used for is what I use it for, and I use it to spread happiness and make people happy. That's what I do the most, and that's what I enjoy doing. I always enjoy making people laugh, smile, whatever. So whenever I tweet or something, I always try to tweet to make people laugh, to brighten up their day. So that's why I think is the best thing about social media.
I see it used for a lot of, like progression. So, like, with, like, Black Lives Matter and, like, feminism, I see it a lot, like, with helping, like, people become, like, more aware of what's going on in our world today.
It spreads happiness. I love seeing the viral tweets or the viral pictures about someone got proposed to in this way, or this guy who was sick, like, this happened to him, and just, like, people spreading the good in the world and seeing the happy things.
And finally, media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media. So what is the best way someone can be media literate?
One more time for the people in the back.
For people to be media literate, I feel like they should take classes, stay informed, figure out what should be on social media, what should not be on social media, and just types of things like that.
I think you really just need to take that time to think about why you want to share something with someone, and look at what someone else has shared and say, why are they sharing that? Like, what is the purpose behind all of it? You're not just sharing to show yourself off all the time. Maybe you are, but maybe you need to think about that and what good can come from it, what bad can come from it, and just, you know, you can see that around what other people have done, and then think again what you're going to do with it.
I think the best way for someone to be media literate is to teach them at an early adolescent age how to use the media that they have so readily available to them, because if not, they're left to their own devices and they will more than likely stumble upon things they shouldn't get themselves into. And it's very important to realize that those things don't go away. When something is out there, it's out there for good.